Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something really exciting because as you can see I have a brand new Ricsan Custom Toys figure here to check out. You can also see that this is the large-scale aggressor, aka the Cloverfield monster. And if you know me, I absolutely love Cloverfield. I have reviewed one figure of this kaiju in the past here on the channel, but this is the first time I've had the pleasure of having a articulated version, not just an articulated version, a super articulated version. And I absolutely adore Ricsan Custom Toys and what they are doing for the kaiju collecting community. I feel like they are just an absolute gift to us and have been giving us some of the best kaiju figures that you will find anywhere. So I am really hyped to get a look at this one. The packaging is pretty much as it usually is, just nice, and fairly basic, but you have a really cool shot of the figure of the kaiju right there, and then a window area, but you can't see anything in the window area because they pack their figures nice and safely with styrofoam. And then if you turn it around, first of all, you can see another shot up here, and also again the collect them all. And then on the back, some very cool images of the kaiju, as well as again the fact that it does have 22 points of articulation. So definitely really exciting. Let's go ahead, pop this box open and check it out. So here is everything that is included in the packaging with our Cloverfield monster, and man, did they ever do an incredible job on this, not just on the kaiju itself, but the accessories. I didn't realize there were so many accessories that came with the figure, and I know that Ricsan Custom Toys often loves to include things like that, accessories with their releases, which is always a great thing, but you can see that this figure includes a lot. So first of all, you have the sacks that are on the side of the head of the Cloverfield monster, which currently the one that I have on the head is the deflated version. You also have the inflated version, so you can put the kind of inflated air sacs on the side of the head of the Cloverfield monster into the head of the figure, and then actually, display it that way. As you can see, I have to remember which one goes where. You can basically remove it and then pop the other one in. I had it in wrong, and there you go. You can now see again that we have the other sack in the side of the head now inflated, which is a really cool touch. I absolutely love that fact that they include that. And then again, you can take it back out and then put it back in. I will say it does seem a little bit loose as far as the way that those go in. Maybe a magnet would help that, stay in a little bit better, but still looks incredibly awesome. And then you can see down here quite a bit of extras included with the figure, but we're going to go over all of these at some point very soon in the review. But currently, we're going to push everything out of the way and readjust the camera so we can get a better look at our Cloverfield monster. So starting up here in the head sculpt of the Cloverfield monster, you can see again that the head sculpt looks absolutely spot on to the way it looks in the film. They really nailed the look and feel of the head sculpt of this one. They also have given it that really nice light tone, that white sort of a tone that we have for the kaiju. We can see the eyes are painted with a black and then given a nice white spot there to kind of insinuate the eye shine. And then as you move back here into the side of the head with those sacks, they are painted with that nice light pinkish tone. The texturing also looks really good, especially right there in those, again, air sacs. You can really see the texturing looks really nice. But overall, the texturing I think looks great everywhere on the figure. We can also see the nostrils right there, and if I can articulate it, there we go. We do have an articulated jaw, which is super cool. And man, does this thing look beyond epic and beyond mean once you open the mouth of the figure. We can see right there the tongue on the inside of the mouth, and then a reddish tone for the majority of the inside of the mouth looking back. We also have the teeth looking really good, very sharp and genuine, painted with like a light yellowish tone, which helps to add to the realism, I think. And the jaw works really nicely. You can see that jaw is really well articulated, but these figures are always really well articulated in my opinion. As you move up, well, he's got so many areas of his body. It's hard to kind of maneuver him around, but looking at the top of the head, again, the texturing and everything looks good up here. You do have a swivel in the neck articulation of the head. I don't know if we can move the head up and down. a little bit, but it's mostly kind of like swivel action, a little left and right as well, but for the most part, again, it's sort of swivel action there in the neck of the figure. I'm actually going to take this guy off, because again, they are fairly loose, and they could end up falling out, and I don't want to break them while I'm moving the figure around, so we'll just take them out for now. You can see what it looks like without the sacks in. You can even see texturing nicely behind that. But as you move back into the body of our Cloverfield monster, you can see the back looks really good. The texturing as well looks quite nice. We continue to basically just have the white tone, because that's of course the coloration of the Cloverfield monster. It is a very nice light white tone. As you move back, you can see that sort of arc in the back right there. You can also see we have articulation up and down in that area. It can also swivel, so you can basically pull off any and every pose you want. This arm is just in my way. There you can see the swivel action of the stomach, and that can also go left and right, which you can see really quite smoothly. As you lead out into the legs of the kaiju, you can see that they are, especially as far as these front legs, very large, very impressive. We again have more nice articulation, which can go up and down, back and forth, swivel, basically anywhere you want it to go. Same deal for the elbow. Again, all over the place. It is a string articulation style, so it really gives you pretty much countless and unlimited possibilities as far as articulating the limbs. Same deal for this section of the front leg, and then again, when you move down into the wrist, you can see, same thing again, basically can swivel all over the place. So it looks really, really nice as far as that goes. And as you move down through that leg, you can kind of get a sense of like the bone structure and everything throughout. As you lead down into the foot sculpt, you can see that as well. Looks really good. We have the smaller toes right there, and then of course the larger toes. The smaller toes actually don't have any paintwork for the nails, but the larger toes do, with a yellowish tone of color, and the toes look really, really good as far as the sculpting goes. Again, very alien-like, which, of course, suits the creature quite nicely. But as you move up here, you have those smaller arms, which honestly remind me a bit of the T-Rex from Jurassic World Rebirth. But you can see, again, we have the ability to kind of move those arms, so those are articulated as well, which is really, really fun. And then you move back a little bit further into the back, basically in the back but above the hip region. You can see the texturing does look a little bit different, just a kind of a little bit rougher in that area before you move out into the tail. And then you, of course, have the ability to articulate the tail, as you have 1, 2, 3, 4 joints of articulation moving out into the tail right there. Can go up, down, left, right, pretty much anywhere and everywhere again that you might be interested in displaying the tail of your Cloverfield monster. And then when we move down into the rear legs, and I try to get this front leg out of my way, you can see again that the detail looks pretty nice. As far as the articulation of the legs goes, you can go forward and back, of course, with the hip region. You can also come out away from the body, so you can cause the Cloverfield monster to send out some side kicks. We also have knee articulation forward and back, another spot right here. This can also swivel, and then you've got ankle articulation, again forward and back, also can swivel. So pretty much the same type of articulation the entire way through. We can even get a nice sense of the musculature of the leg as you move down, and again the toes looking really nicely just like they did on the front legs. So overall, that is absolutely incredible, and by far one of my favorite figures to come from Ricsan Custom Toys yet, because it is such a super cool kaiju that for some reason does not get nearly enough love. But man, they really did a great job on their version. Also, again, when it comes to the sacks, you can see they look really nice as far as the sculpt goes, again painted with the pink, and they even have a little bit of a gloss coat to them, a nice satin shine. But then when it comes to all of the other accessories, first of all, we have some little vehicles, which you can see obviously. These are vehicles to come in and attack our kaiju, and they look really, really good. Definitely nicely sculpted for the most part. Again, there's not much when it comes to fine detail, but they are so small, and they would make really nice additions to a display for your Cloverfield monster. You do have a different vehicle, and these are very old school Toho-ish as far as the vehicles go. Definitely Again, the type of vehicles you would see in like old Godzilla movies, which makes them even more fun. And we do have yet another vehicle that looks just like the one we had just taken a look at. On top of that, something that I think is really cool is we have the head of the Statue of Liberty, and if you are familiar with the Cloverfield monster, and of course Cloverfield the film, you will know that at one point it just basically tosses the head of the Statue of Liberty down the street in New York, and clearly you can see that we have that addition to this set as well. And of course these are unpainted, but you could paint them if you want to, and just add a little bit more to your set. And then in something that is even cooler that I also didn't realize was included, we actually have some of the parasites that you see coming off of the Cloverfield monster in the film, and you can see this one is really well sculpted. It looks super, super cool, and pretty much as I remember them looking. But there is actually this one, and then there's another one that's the same as that, a nice small one, but there's a larger one in here as well, which you can see. And if we come from the underside, you can even see those like fangs basically on the front of the mouth and the kind of spiky tail. It looks really awesome, and the fine detail again is really well done on the figure. And just to give you a feel for the size difference between the smaller one and the larger one, there you can see again quite different in size, and there are actually two of the larger one included as well. So a lot to love in this set, a lot to really take in. As far as the size goes, that's kind of a tricky thing to do when it comes to this figure, because like there are just limbs all over the place, and it doesn't have a massive length to it. I mean, that's just the way that this creature works. I guess for a height, in the position it's currently in, you are looking at about 4.5 inches or 11.5 centimeters to the top of the elbow, a little over 4.5 inches, closing in on 4.75 inches or around 12 centimeters. And then if we turn it and get like, actually let's pull the tail out a little bit straighter just so we have more of a little bit of a length to it. Boy, I don't even know how to get in here to get this measurement, but for a length from the head to the tail, about 7.25 inches or around 18.5 centimeters. I think the best way to probably give you guys a feel for the size of this one is more so with a size comparison, so let's go ahead and jump to that. So there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Clovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Ricsan Custom Toys Cloverfield monster, and you can see it does have a really nice, very convenient size. It's not small by any means, but it's also not massive, and you can very clearly see that next to these other figures. And then for another comparison with the one that started it all for me when it comes to the Ricsan Custom Toys figures, we have the Stan Winston Godzilla here next to our Cloverfield monster for another comparison, as well as the incredibly epic Ricsan Custom Toys Titanosaurus, looking super cool, ready to fight off that Cloverfield monster. And we've even got the King Kong here, the 1962 King Kong taking on our Cloverfield monster, also another Ricsan Custom Toys release. Then for some random kaiju comparisons, we also have the Godzilla from SH Monster Arts here next to our Cloverfield monster. The Hiya Toys 2014 Godzilla next to Cloverfield. The Hiya Toys King of the Monsters Godzilla, which is obviously quite a bit larger. The Bandai Titanosaurus, which again is quite a bit taller. As well as one of those newer, more articulated Bandai Godzillas, which we have here, the 2004 version next to Cloverfield. And then one final comparison with a Playmates Godzilla next to Cloverfield as well. So this Ricsan Custom Toys large-scale aggressor, aka the Cloverfield monster figure, is fantastic on every level. The sculpt is really well done. It's nicely textured. It also captures the likeness of the Cloverfield monster, in my opinion, perfectly, which is definitely really cool. And sports so much articulation, making this thing super posable and definitely incredibly fun to display. It's also just generally awesome to have a Cloverfield monster figure, especially one with articulation, because again, it is that one kaiju, well, not that one kaiju, there are plenty, I'm sure, but one of the kaiju that seems to get overlooked the most, I would say, and I don't know why, like, it's so iconic, and I feel like it's a fairly fan-favorite film, as well as a fan-favorite kaiju, so it is always great to see Ricsan Custom Toys stepping in and showing it some love, but they are fantastic at showing every kaiju that you don't expect to get the love that it deserves, and they've been doing that from the start, which is one of the many reasons why I love Ricsan Custom Toys as much as I do. It's also incredibly cool that this thing has so many accessories, again, including like the head of the Statue of Liberty and vehicles, of course, to attack your kaiju. You have different sacks to put on the head, depending on, how you want it to look, if you want the inflated sacks or the deflated sacks, and then you even have parasites on top of everything. They really went the extra mile with this release, making sure that everything you would want for a Cloverfield monster figure was included. So if you are interested in picking this up for yourself, I will include a link in the description to the website of Ricsan Custom Toys, where you can now purchase them on their website, which is definitely really fun. Again, you can pay with PayPal and everything, which makes it very convenient, and it's just great to be able to order now from their website rather than like reaching out to them personally to try to place an order. It's just so much simpler now with the website. So make sure you check the website. You can order whatever Ricsan Custom Toys figures you want from there. I've ordered quite a few, including this one now, from the website. So make sure you check that link. Definitely pick this up and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.